Oh, we're live.
Living in September.
The 21st night in September.
And there is in September.
And the night away. You get it. Pretty good.
Yeah,
Not
we
bad.
got there. We
Yeah.
got there. We've been practicing.
We're also singing it on
In
the right
between
day.
movies?
We're
Yeah.
singing it on the right day because it's Do You Remember the 21st Night in September, which was
Oh,
last
snap,
night.
Which was last night. So
and it was a good night. We had a good
We
night.
did have a good night. And to be fair, I do remember it. Yeah.
Clear as day.
Boom.
Welcome.
It's welcome there. Welcome to everybody that's joining us on our our third day in Austin, our second video for Fantastic Fest, talking about
Welcome.
our Fantastic Fest videos.
Welcome to Mooseport.
Welcome. Oh, wait. Boom. Oh, gotta get that. Gotta get that in
Very
there. Gotta get
important.
that in there.
Let me retweet it really quick, and then we
Yeah.
can get started because we have a lot of good movies we want to talk about.
Oh my gosh, we got a lot of good movies today. A lot of fun memories we're gonna make today.
Good
Some
memories.
friends became enemies. Enemies became friends.
I think I saw my favorite movie of the fest so far, but I'm excited to see more movies this week because
Yes.
I'm seeing Sean William Scott in a movie tonight, and pretty pumped about it.
Nice.
Hope we get
Nice.
enough Stifler jokes. We're gonna need them.
Man, there was a moment that I thought he was going to come out and he didn't, and that was kind of a bummer. Oh, and immediately there goes the flag.
Oh, and there it goes.
And there it goes. Well, it was there in spirit. Wait, you know what? We haven't done audio. The audio doesn't care.
Don't worry, audio has no idea.
All right, ready?
Hold on.
Hold on.
We weren't holding on to anything. I didn't need to say hold
Okay,
on.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, and welcome to Only Stupid Answers Fantastic Fest coverage for 2018. We need to say
Wow.
that specifically because this is the second year we've been here doing coverage for
Yes.
it, and it's been a blast so far.
Yes.
This is going to be about day 2.
Yeah.
It's the first full day of movies from start to finish. They're early morning to end in night.
Yes.
And we got to experience the fantastic debates, which were a blast. But we saw We saw even more movies yesterday, and I saw one of my favorite movies from all of my Fantastic Fest viewings because of how damn creative it is, and how much I laughed at it. So I'm excited.
That's really great. Let's not start with that movie.
I
Let's
know.
Start
Oh
with
no, we got to tease the
Yeah.
kids.
Let's start with this other movie we saw called The Donnybrook. Tell us about The Donnybrook, Sam.
Okay, so it stars Jamie Bell and Frank Grillo. Frank Grillo, you're familiar with. He is Crossbones, everyone's favorite side villain from the Captain America movies. And Jamie Bell, your other favorite Marvel character, Ben Grimm from Fantastic or Billy Elliot. He's that kid. Here's a quick synopsis for this movie, directed by Tim Sutton. You ready? Buckle up, here it comes. 2 men prepared to compete in a legendary bare-knuckle fight where the winner gets $100,000 in prize money. That does not do any justice to what this movie is. This movie is not a fighting movie. Even though a fight happens, and the name of Donnybrook is a fight, the director after the movie described that he's more inspired by character pieces and think pieces. And so that's what you get, more than a fight movie. A fight does happen, but boy, dude, we have to wait what feels like 3 hours until that happens.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I didn't do a great job putting the flag back up, but,
I did like in the background
yeah.
that the
the taper thing. Could you hear it?
I tried to talk over
Oh,
it.
cool. Well, we tried. This is what the kids pay for. It's a bummer because this movie is 1,000% should be a movie I'm into. Like it's these guys, they're kind of struggling with life, and this is their one opportunity to get out, and
That's what we thought.
Yeah, and it's it's a lot of the struggling to get out, you know what I mean, and you're going around, you're fighting, you're building up to this fight, and like the director straight up said, and it's like, I didn't, there's a lot more fighting in the book, and I just wanted to cut that out. I'm like, what? Maybe you should have kept it.
It also is one of the most grim movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, because it's just joyless. It's just there's not any moment of like, it's completely humorless. It takes itself excruciatingly seriously, and there's not a problem with the movie taking it seriously. I don't have a problem with the movie taking itself seriously, but like, it helps to have just a little bit. You know, you just want to pepper in a little bit of levity, just so the balance is right. You know what I mean? Just so it's not.
So you're not like hating yourself and hating your country and hating like it makes you hate many things in this movie.
And you know, a little bit of sugar helps the medicine go down. You know what I mean? So you want to. This is at the end of the day an entertainment medium, and so like when it finally gets to the Donnybrook itself is actually pretty exciting for the 5 minutes it's on screen. And so it's like, yeah, if you'd had more of that, I think I would have personally been more engaged as a movie, and maybe just have, you know, a character smile once, just once.
And also, we found out that this is based on like you said, a book.
Yeah,
and you can kind of tell that there's some characters that like, oh, there's a detective that's introduced that is involved with our two main characters in different ways, and you're like. But you don't really know
James Badgedale, who's also in the Marvel movies.
He is. He's in Iron Man 3. He's one of the main henchmen. Anyways, but he's you kind of wish you knew more about what his entire deal is, because it's kind of pointless. And it doesn't. It kind of maybe pushes one person to go somewhere. Yeah. But we do spend quite a lot of time with him for him just to do that tiny little push. But you know what? Let's say some positives, because the acting in this movie was superb.
Acting is really good. The real standout for me is Frank Grillo. I mean, we're used to. I mean, he plays a bad guy in Captain America, right? Crossbones is not as bad a guy as Angus is in this movie.
Yeah, his character's name is Angus. Yeah, and he's a drug dealer.
He's a monster in more ways than one. He's a monster in the stuff he does, and then when you finally get to the final fight, he takes off his shirt, and you're like, oh my God, Frank Grillo could rip my head off my shoulders. Like
he looks like a full-on action figure. Yeah. And there's a point in the Donnybrook, which is more of like an all-out brawl between as many people who want to be in the Donnybrook as possible.
Which is it's a bunch of. I thought it was like as the movie kept going, I was like, when are they going to have the tournament? Like it's because the way it's. I assumed like more like blood sport, like rounds and whatever. No, it's just a bunch of people in a cage all fighting at once, which is kind of a fun concept. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes, but nothing was teased about what it was. So once it started, it was a fun surprise, but it also kind of didn't mean anything, because at this point we're like so depressed. Yeah. There is one funny moment where someone's does the national anthem over a loudspeaker, but she takes a break to take the longest drag from a cigarette and then goes back. But at the same time, like, in the background of the shot, you can see a stand-in for the Twin Towers on fire. And so you're like, literally something is on fire and burning. And you're like, I don't quite know what's happening. Also, before the movie started, the director prefaced it with, it's so dark that he was wondering, because of the times we're in now, like, should I even keep going? Yeah. And he's like, you know what, I am. And there was no like real motivation besides, the money has been spent, and we need to finish this movie. Yeah. And it's still like, it's well shot. Yeah. There's a lot of, and like I think the acting is what kind of needs the most praise, because sometimes there's story elements that I'm like, I don't know if this quite
one
matters.
Particular one that I asked you about a bunch. I'm like, why did this happen?
Yeah, it's and there's a lot of and the cinematography is really good, but there are some shots where you're like, I think this is trying to establish that. Maybe this person is sadder than we think, which is impressive in this world, or that this shot's not meant to be like sexual, for example. Yeah. Like there's a long take on a person fully nude walking towards another character.
Yeah, it's definitely intentional. I'm not sure what the intention was, but it was definitely like, because it goes on long enough that it's like, all right, this isn't titillating. Yeah, it's just kind of like. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like watching an animal like walk out of the room. It's like there's nothing to it, and it's not even informative to the character. It's nothing, and also there's a lot of. It's confusing. The movie's more confusing, and the pitch of it with Jamie Bell, who did a very, very good job,
very talented,
and Frank Grillo.
And honestly, I thought he did a good job as Frank Grimm and Fan Forstick, but
Ben Grimm.
Ben Grimm. What did I say?
Frank Grimm. Yeah,
Weird.
Frank Grillo in the brain.
Yeah,
yeah. And because he was really good, he was good in this movie.
He was good in this movie.
And but I will say, by the end, his motivation is kind of like you described it to me, and I was like, okay, I buy that. No. But I didn't get it from watching the movie. It wasn't super duper clear. Yeah, because you don't have enough time to really even get to know him. Period. Yeah. And also the relationship of some people is kind of all over the place. Like it's finally someone's like, "Oh, that's my sister," and you're like, "I would have doubted that. I would have said this is an abusive, like romantic relationship."
Yeah, and it's which plays into certain things too. I think when movies this grim, you need to shore up not any confusion, but like it needs the logic needs to track really hardcore, because there's not enough fun elements to keep you from analyzing that. Anyway, whatever. Point is, it was a well-crafted film that we did not enjoy.
Yeah, and well crafted in some ways. I feel like the story, the element, the liberties that were taken from it by the director.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have taken liberties in different ways.
Yeah,
Right?
that's possible.
Sprinkling. You know what? There were other fights, but it was so grim. There's the one in the parking lot.
Yeah,
but
it's also not really It's
beat
very
him in 5
one-sided.
seconds.
Yeah, it's very one-sided. It's not. It doesn't get the blood pumping, you know. And when you're going to a fight movie, it was like a fight movie directed by somebody that resented fight movies, and it's like, well, don't do that to me, man.
Yeah, like I know you enjoyed the book and the characters in the book, but there's a reason other people read the book, and it was the fights too. So you got to have both.
What about a movie that we saw after that we did enjoy?
I think we both really enjoyed this movie. Oh my god, this is a really cool. There's a cool poster for this movie. Anyways, let's talk about the Quake. There he is. There's everyone's favorite big blockbuster character, Christian Ecclesjord. Don't kill me. This is a Norwegian film, and I'm going to try my best with a bunch of these names. But Christian is the only person you need to remember, and the rest of the main characters, because this is actually a sequel to I'll call this a hit film, The Wave, from about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. It actually premiered at Fantastic Fest, and a couple of our friends were able to see it. And you can watch it on Netflix, which is pretty fun. But this is a Norwegian disaster movie, and The Quake there's not too much to it. It is a follow-up. The wave was caused, the tsunami wave of the first movie was caused because of a little earthquake, and our main character has become obsessed with trying to predict or try to monitor where another quake could happen, because this will actually lead nicely into the synopsis that I have right here. It's a little bit of a weird synopsis, so bear with me. In 1904, an earthquake of magnitude 5.4 on the Richter scale shook Oslo with an epicenter in the Oslo Graben, which runs under the Norwegian capital. There are now signs that indicate that we can expect a major future earthquake in Oslo. I'm going to guess this was written in Norwegian, and something got lost in that translation. Because 1904, this is a modern day movie. I don't know why that date's in there.
He brings up several times in the movie that it's like 100 years ago we had this earthquake. If we have anything that's slightly bigger than that, we're screwed, basically. Yeah, it's interesting because earthquakes don't necessarily have a lot of buildup. Like the last movie was The Wave, which was a rock slide created a tsunami, right?
So you could have elements and stuff.
And so the bulk of the movie is leading up to the earthquake, which is kind of basically unpacking this guy's PTSD from the last movie.
Which is actually... There's sometimes when there's a couple of disaster movies that come out that are American, that sometimes they try to make it more serious and people can't connect with them.
Yeah.
Or they just kind of throw all that out and they just make a disaster movie with crazy mishaps and whatnot. This movie, I felt, did a really good job unpacking that and seeing and learning about these characters, because like I said, I have not seen The Wave. You haven't seen The Wave. No. And so I still was able to connect with all these characters and understand where they're at after the last movie and what they mean to each other. And I really enjoyed that we got the time to spend with those characters. We'll be frank. The theater was a little too comfy, so we started to doze off for 5 minutes.
You don't know how hard it is to watch all these movies like we do. And then the earthquake happens, and then it's just trying to I think we both, when the earthquake's going on, we're both like, oh no! It's so much worse than you expect it to be.
Well, you see, there's a character that's on a balcony of one of a skyscraper, what you're seeing on screen right now, and so she's looking out. So you're like, oh, we're gonna see what she's looking at, or maybe from a different angle, and then it looks like someone towel flipped the earth. And you're like, whoa!
Yeah.
And the CGI needs to be praised because it was surprisingly amazing. It was very good. It was extremely good. And as soon as things go to shit, they go to shit in every way possible. There's an amazing scene within an elevator, because of course, because where's the place you want to be in an earthquake? In an elevator.
Classic.
30 stories up. Yeah. Perfect. But there's a scene between two characters, and there's little elements of okay, so now that an earthquake's happened, how can this building get worse? And it does in every way.
One of the coolest things about this movie is they're all trying to escape this this building after this earthquake, and the way it sets up the little pacing stuff, because I think a lot of big disaster movies just they think, oh, just stuff exploding, and what you need is that you need that tension. So suddenly you see the building tilt, and you see it was great staging, it was great set design, because they're in this bar with a bunch of lights that are just hanging free, so they start to tilt, and you see a cart start to go, and those little elements. The best one is in an elevator. They're in there, and the cable just shoots up, And I think the whole theater was like, "Oh no!"
What does that mean? Where did it go?
Yeah,
what was it attached to?
Yeah, and just little elements that build up the tension and build up that anticipation of things going wrong.
You could watch it alone, or you could watch it with a bunch of friends and like have a really good time, like have a good romp watching this movie. Do back to back when the Quake comes out and we can watch it.
Yeah.
Watch The Wave and then the Quake because they're both. I'm excited to watch The Wave because that was directed by Roar,
who
directed the new Tomb Raider. Yeah, but this is a new director.
This is a new director
who did a very good job.
He did a tremendous job. A lot of people, I feel like the big monster movies could learn a lot from these movies. Other disaster movies can learn from this movie. But I'm with you, Sam. This got me excited to check out The Wave. I will say the one thing that kind of you definitely don't need to see The Wave to see this movie, even though it's a lot of the same characters. The hardest part for me to buy is that like. It's the same family of characters, so it's like, wait, so they got out of this wave situation, and now these poor people have to be. When are we going to stop punishing this family for whatever cosmic thing they did?
Hey, they went back to Oslo.
Yeah, well, you should have known.
You should have known. And also, that's like every movie. That's in every sequel for disaster movies. It's like, they're in it again.
Yeah.
They're bungling it again.
They're just back in the saddle.
And I wish I could talk more about the actors. Can't pronounce their names.
Yeah.
All the acting was very good in this movie.
Very great.
And it was solidly written where it was like, and there was so you do get, there are some teases of things to come. Like basically you get like mini quakes. And there is an example like so you do get some tension. There's not just only character development and then one big earthquake, but there is the character, of course, that like denies that anything's going to happen. And I like the way he delivers the lines because it's still bullshit. Like the way he describes it, it's just like this is facts. Like it's like this happens more than you think.
Yeah.
And like so it's like I get why you're scared.
Yeah.
But again, that's when it starts to weave into bullshit because like there was an earthquake and then there was a citywide power outage.
Yeah, and he's like, look at the cracks on this pillar. Of course all the power went out in the city. Like what?
All the power in the city runs through this opera house.
Yeah.
Of course it does.
What are you talking about?
So there's bullshit, but the actor did a good job.
Yeah, I think that's true of a lot of the movie because there's a little kid character that of course does the stupid little kid shit that all the little kids do in these disaster movies. Like, oh man, I need to run to the most dangerous area
alone.
But the little kids, that little girl, so talented. Of course, the lead guy's so talented. The one that really impressed me was the mom. She gets a lot of heavy lifting in this.
She gets a lot of like that trauma where it's like she goes through something and then she stops talking and kind of turns into the Terminator and kind of needs to get shit done.
Exactly.
And I really dig that.
I think we're thinking of the same moment. That was one of my favorite moments where like he's like, "What are we gonna do now?" And she's like, and she doesn't say anything. She's just like, "I'm doing it."
Yeah.
Get shit done right now.
Like also, I hope that I am that like robotic if I were in a scenario like that.
I can almost guarantee you, I would not be.
Yeah, I'm panicking.
Yeah.
But it's more like we need nothing. We can't sit here freaking out because we need to get out of here now.
Yeah.
They're ballsier than probably both of us
Yeah.
when it came to that. But the movie is extremely entertaining, so go see it if you can. It'll probably definitely be on Netflix.
Yeah.
So, and if you're one of our Norway listeners, then you haven't walked to your own theater, go for it.
Yeah.
You'll enjoy the movie.
Yeah, it's a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Then we split up, and you got to see a movie that's going to be coming to Netflix soon, right?
Yeah, I did not know before I went in. It's a Netflix produced movie, Blumhouse, and it's called Cam. And
Sounds
it's
like a good combo for two.
Yeah, man, and it was. It's about a cam girl. You don't have to have the stuff.
Oh no, I got you.
It's about a cam girl who, and the movie was written by a former cam model. So and you can tell the attention to detail to her world is very nice. It's a very nice touch. I think it's really important to have those little. If you're entering a world that most people don't know, those little details really make it feel real and lived in and believable. And so immediately I was sold in on that. And then suddenly she's locked out of her account.
Yeah.
And there's somebody camming on her channel that looks like her. It is in her room, but she's also in the room, and it's not her. She's not doing it.
Yeah, no, it's the synopsis reads that yes, she starts going further than this doppelganger starts going further than the main actress would in terms of sexuality and what she's willing to do on camera. And I love this like final line where it seems like this thing is determined to destroy her life and call it identity theft. of a sexy, possible supernatural kind.
Yeah,
which is
it's
a good,
interesting. You mind bringing up the people?
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have had that.
No, Madeline Brewer is your lead actress.
Yeah, and it's a very bold performances for all the reasons that you would think of, but it's also very because not only is she playing, so she's playing. I believe the character's name is Alice. Because there's some Alice in Wonderland allusions, because of course
Jessica
there are.
Parker Kennedy's in this. She's the daughter of Barry and Iris in The Flash.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah,
I
that's cool.
immediately recognized her. And she plays her normal self, Alice. She plays her on-camera personality, Lola, and then there's like the evil Lola that takes over for her. And so as the movie's going on, the mystery's really interesting. But like we've seen these Blumhouse movies. We've seen these kind of like what you could describe as like mid-tier horror thriller whatevers. And so this is a really great setup that probably isn't going to have a payoff, a good payoff. You know what I mean? But the way they resolve it is so good and so interesting, and really unpacks the movie in a really interesting way, and they don't get bogged down by what this thing is, why it does what it does. It basically functions solely to have our character do interesting things and learn about herself. And they give you just enough to be like cool, and the way she confronts it is so smart, such a smart way of doing it. And I was really impressed. Because they really made the most out of this movie. I really think. You mind bringing up the director and the writer? I think they did such a good job just unpacking this movie. I was really impressed. I really recommend, if you're over 17, checking this out on Netflix. It's definitely an adult movie.
No, it is directed by Daniel Goldhaber, and it was written, and the story came from Daniel and Issa Marazi.
So she was the former cam girl, and they've been friends. There was a Q&A after, and they said they've been friends for forever, for a long time, and so that's why they hit some fun stories about their past. But yeah, I really recommend, if you like Blumhouse movies, if you like, which again, those like those type of movies, those type of horror thriller stuff, I think you'll really be into this, because I was very surprised and impressed. I didn't have very high expectations for this movie, and it really blew them away.
During this time slot, we both saw some pretty good movies, and I'm extremely excited to talk about the movie I was able to see, One Cut of the Dead. So I'm going to read the synopsis because it doesn't really do a very good job describing what this movie
the experience
is.
You had.
So you see the photo, you see some zombies. All right, here's your synopsis. Things go badly for a hack director and film crew shooting a low-budget zombie movie in an abandoned World War II Japanese factory when they are attacked by real zombies.
Oh, snap.
Now you're like, that sounds like a little like it could be interesting, or it could be really tiring, which is the feeling you had.
Yeah,
about
which
the movie.
this was my second choice, and I felt like, wow, this could either be one of those hidden gems of the festival, or it could be one of those that's exactly what it sounds like it is, which is fine.
It's a hidden gem.
Yeah,
I'm very happy to report. So I have to kind of give you guys the experience, explain the experience I had watching this movie. Every movie's introduced by someone, and it was like the guy we see introduce all the movies. He's the creative director, and he actually is one of the people that picks is in charge of picking the movies.
Great.
And there's so many people that have to screen so many movies for this festival. But he was talking about how he got One Cut of the Dead during Christmas time. And he was watching it, and in the email when it was sent to him, he was like, "Please watch all the way through." Okay. And it was like, and he's like, "No, okay, fine." And they start watching it. About 30 minutes in, he's like, "There's no fucking way we would ever show this movie. It's awful." And then he's like, "But we'll watch. We'll finish it."
I made a promise.
And then as soon as it was done, he's like, "We have to." And they've got it for 2 screenings here at the festival.
Nice.
So I'm like, cool. And it was kind of hard to remember why he said it that way until the movie started, and it's awful in the beginning. And I just bear with me, because for the first 30 minutes you're watching this horror movie. I didn't get that one cut meant one take. This whole horror movie is one take, and there's like, it's very awkward, and like sometimes you think action's happening, but you're only looking at the girl screaming about it, and you don't get to see what's happening in the background. You're like, this is so stupid. Like, this is so dumb. What are we watching? And then it ends, and it's so painfully stupid. Like, it doesn't make any sense anymore. And then it fade to white 1 month earlier. And you're like, well, what would we learn a month earlier from what just happened?
Yeah.
And it goes to you start meeting the director who was in this movie we just saw, and it's in the real world, and you find out that that in Japan they're launching a zombie channel, and their first program they want to launch with is a one-take live zombie movie. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, why one take? He's like, because it's in right now. And it's got to be live. And so he starts planning it, and basically it becomes like, it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, because then you get to see what it was like shooting that movie live, and everything that could go wrong goes wrong, and every actor's a diva, and it's cool to see him, like, you get to see like all the stresses he has like open up, and you get to see like his family dynamic, and it becomes like this like movie where you root for all the characters. And I think it's really bold. They showed the movie first, and it's like it's only 30 minutes too, so it's not like requiring too much. Yeah. But it is a gamble. It's a gamble because
it's a big gamble.
Because it is really bad.
Yeah.
And then you start laughing because there are actual funny moments where like the director pops out and everything like that. I don't want to say too much, but there are so many solid moments where you're going to laugh your ass off. Where you like, I couldn't breathe. I was like, I so enjoyed this movie and I want to own it. And I hope I can. I saw it. I saw that we have access to it through a special streaming service, but not like Netflix or Amazon or Hulu or anything like that. And I'm like, that really bums me out. Because this, and also, I don't want this to happen because I feel like this movie nailed it, but it could be adapted very easily. Like, it's a very adaptable movie about this film crew trying to make this one-take zombie movie, which sounds like something that would be like a demand from on high at a studio where it's like, yes, that's what we need to do. One take live. And it's like, why?
That makes me so happy. I'm glad we have access to it so I can watch it.
Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I'm so excited for you to see it because it's just because it really rewards itself. Like I don't even know how to like it like undersells itself and then it like rises
over
to
delivers.
like to
under
like,
promise, over deliver, kids. That's how it's done.
Yeah, that's the premise of this movie.
Just make sure your first half hour is just dog shit, and then the rest of the movie people will just die for.
Because and there's like errors in it, so you're like, wait, what does that mean? Like where somebody in the zombie movie is dead and they stand back up in the scene and then they fall back down again. You're like, all right, like we'll deal with that. Like I don't know what just happened, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then when you find out what actually happened, it's so funny. Yeah. And I love it. I can't recommend it enough. One Cut of the Dead. Please watch it. Let me give a shout out to at least the director, and don't kill me here. I'm going to do my best. Shinichiro Yuda. Yeah, I shouldn't have tried. I'm sorry, but I tried my best.
He did good. He did a good job.
Yeah, One Cut of the Dead, though, cannot recommend it enough. It's
cool.
so good. It actually is my favorite movie of the festival so far, but we still have 2 more days of movies, so I'm very excited to see what else we get to see. Today, we're going to be seeing a lot of really good movies, and I can't wait to talk about them.
It's going to be super cool. And then if you're watching live with us tomorrow, we're going to do our podcast episode where we're going to talk about even more movies, talking about our experience here at Fantastic Fest, maybe some behind the scenes stories.
Yes.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, normally when it goes up, it'll already be live, and so you can go check that out.
Please and thank you. And make sure you check out patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. If you're there right now, we love you. You're the best. And also go check out Hard to Say Goodbye, our Game of Thrones review podcast with Trisha Hirschberger. But make sure you follow us on Twitter at Sam Basher.
At DJ Talks Trash.
And most importantly, at Only Stupid Answers.
Check out the bells from Stupid.
Dude, we're so good at that now. It's fucking crazy. But we're going to be talking more about our meetup on Sunday. I already tweeted out some details about that, but don't worry, you're going to get the finite details as soon as possible. You're going to get those soon. But make sure if you're listening to this audio version, tell your friends about the podcast. We appreciate it when you do that. Any hoozle. We'll talk to you guys later. We love you. Stay hydrated.
Bye-bye.
Bye.